Hello and welcome to another edition of DBE TV News. This is where we bring you all the news about the major activities in the basic education sector. We come to you on OpenView channel 122, on the DBE YouTube channel, and as you know by now, we are also on BRICS TV channel 509 Starset. My name is Tsehohajo Moachim. In the news this week, all primary school learners were expected back at school, but only if it is feasible and safe to do so. We find out how day one went when the department visited Kabelo Primary School in Katlehong. On day two, Minister Angie Motshekga went to Monde Primary School to assess how they have welcomed back all their learners. She was also in the Free State. We found out from her and the MEC there about the return of all primary school learners. COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on learning and teaching, with small schools applying a rotational learning system. We speak to the principal at Deepdale Secondary to find out how they are preparing the matric learners for the prelim exams, which are just around the corner. The Gauteng Education Department has taken a different approach to the online admission system for grade 1 and 8. Stay tuned to the bulletin to find out more. Remember, you can use any of our social media platforms to share your thoughts with us. On Twitter, at DBE_SA and at DBE TV News, Facebook DBE SA, Instagram DBE SA. You can use the hashtag DBE News. We start with back to school for primary school learners. The first day of all primary school learners being back at school went as smoothly as possible. This after the Basic Education Department announced that all learners must be back on the 2nd of August. It is in a bid to curb more learning losses brought about by COVID-19 and the rotational learning. The Department of Cooperative Governance said for younger learners, the social distancing can be reduced to 1 meter from 1.5.
It's a complex environment. We know that there are concerns around social distancing. There are concerns about what is going to happen. It's a big thing because we have not done this. We haven't seen learners in class all at the same time since March last year when schools were forced to close. Yes, there were some schools that applied to do that, but it wasn't something that was done in all provinces and in all schools.
The department has reiterated that if schools cannot accommodate all learners, it is not obliged to do so, but to continue with the rotational learning.
In terms of the risk-adjusted differentiated strategy, we are saying that where it is possible, please do it. Where it is not possible, don't do it. Continue with the rotation system. So it is important that we make this clear that we are not forcing any school to take all the learners back if it doesn't have the resources to do so, or if it doesn't have a plan on managing this with adherence to safety measures being taken into account. So it is important that we communicate to parents, we communicate to the sector, to our schools as well, to teachers and school principals in particular, and SGBs, to say, don't do something that will not be taking into account the safety of learners. We need to make sure that we do the right thing, all of us. We say safety first, and we need to make sure that we continue to push that message.
The department has also urged communities to work together in assisting schools with learning and teaching.
All the learners have the same curriculum to cover, but not all the schools have the resources to cover all the learners. So it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult balancing act that we need to try to achieve, and we'll work with schools to continue to do that. We've seen some schools have taken a decision to continue the rotation system and have informed parents as such, and we expect that parents will cooperate in that regard. But if a school has the resources and it can accommodate all the learners, at the same time, then they need to proceed to do so. What is important is that schools must be able to inform themselves adequately with the content of the government gazette and the standard operating procedures in terms of what is required, so that we don't place lives at risk where this can be avoided. There are many options there that can be implemented. as and when it becomes necessary. Other schools, we know they are talking to churches that are near them. Just like this school, there's a church just next door. The church could also offer its space for learning as and when the school feels there's a need to partner with that church. So there are different options that must come on board. That's why we feel that each and every stakeholder that has a role to play in the sector, they need to come forward so that they help us go forward with delivering education services.
Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga has thanked teachers at Monde Primary School for their work and dedication when she visited the school on day 2 of full-time learning for all primary school learners. The minister has also urged learners to continue working hard and ensure they pass each year.
So we're not asking you to come back because we don't like you. We ask you to come back because we really, really desperately want you to be the best that you can be. And we know for you to succeed, to be anything best, it's that we have to invest in you. So you need a foundation for the cycle wide. The foundation is strong. It will be a double story. So that's why you are very important to us. So we've asked you to come back in your numbers. The principal tells me that there were some difficulties. We couldn't get it 100% right, but we're working on making sure it needs every day. No, can it? Nyaskubula was Mansekayane. Nyakayotini's every day. So Tina is fully doing one. Every day.
During her visit, she also reminded learners that they should love each other and not bully anyone.
So we rely on you to respect yourself, to respect I can't bully like I. Can't you pass a missile when you're is Koganian? So there's no bully here. If there's one, give that bully to me. I'm taking that bully with me. Because I don't want people are going to make other people unhappy. So no one should be bullying any other one. No one should be pushing any other one violently.
The minister also used the time to remind learners of the COVID-19 protocols that they need to follow. She also mentioned the advisory, which says it could be possible to cut social distancing to 0.5 meter for younger learners.
Don't make any mistake. And the layer manje kuthiwa ihlafuna umama nomntana nami ngiyabisho the one ebalani tomato but idla nomntana leya manje. Yes, so you have to make sure yazi yabhora lezi zinto le ngithola ngiyahale ukubona umama phenje ukuthi nimbone kahle nami ngiyahale ukubona kahle ngizonibona istrateni but akusizi. So siyanincenga nje ukuthi masks all the time. Akho kumnandi akho kuhle this time. Ne? Nobody we find when we fayela wena we find umuntu osephambi kwakho ngithi. So masks all the time. Izandla ridiculous all the time. Angithi we wash hands all the time. I said we hiding, we keep distance all the time. But we also, as I said, we want you to come to schools all the days. So Cabinet allowed me to start phasing in primary schools on the condition that we keep the health protocols intact. Right? So to perfectly say that in 1.5 to 1, I can say, Principal, we'll still come back to the National Corona Committee today. I have an advisor from the Medical Advisory Committee, the Minister of Health, which says even for smaller kids we can do 0.5 meter. It's healthy for small kids. But it has to go through government protocols. And I'm sure when we reach that 0.5 meter, when government has approved that advisory from the Medical Council, it has been researched internationally, it has been established by our own health pediatricians or Dr. Mabantwana, but I'm funny now, but they 0.5 meter injection. So that's what we're going to be working on. And after that, when I have that approval, then I am sure sonke sokusikhona ngithi.
In the Free State, MEC Tate Magwe, accompanied by Minister Angie Motshekga, also visited schools to monitor the return of all primary school learners to class. They started their visits at Butlehadi Primary.
I think we are very, very happy and excited about the progress that we have made. We have checked yesterday and we have determined that more than 53% of the schools in the province, all the children are back. But we must also mention that in all our schools, the foundation phase is back, the grade 7 is back. What we are struggling with just to be able to find a way of accommodating them coming every day to school is the intermediate phase. But we have given ourselves up to the weekend, which is this coming week. Next week by Tuesday, we expect that all children should come back. And it may be possible that some of them will platoon or something, but as long as we can make sure that every child has a contact with the teacher every day, and this is our objective. But we want to thank, I think the minister is happy. We've been able to go to a normal school. We've also gone to special schools, and then everybody is happy. There's excitement. Our teachers, the vaccinations worked wonders because you can see the confidence of the teachers has returned. The safety issues have returned. There is a screening as you come in. There's sanitizing and all those processes. So I think that we are ready to ensure that we try to close the learning losses caused by COVID.
Stay tuned. After the break, we find out how a high school in Soweto is preparing matric learners for the prelim exams.
The August month is a very important month for the people of South Africa and the liberation of humanity as a whole. It is a month where we remember the heroic struggles of the women of our country, which contributed immensely in bringing about the freedom and democracy we enjoy today. It gives us an opportunity to reflect on how far we have gone in terms of the liberation of women in our country. But also it gives us the platform to reconnect with our history, to re-energize and really recommit ourselves that we will not rest until the women of our country are totally liberated. Our struggle, amongst other things that it seeks to resolve, are patriarchal relations of power. And that struggle requires all of us, men and women, to stand together and ensure that women of our country and the world at large are not treated as objects, but they enjoy equal opportunities, equal standing in society, together with their counterparts. So we really wish our women well during this month, but also indicate that this is a month for all of us to recommit to the struggle for women total emancipation.
Deepdale Secondary School in Soweto is doing all it can to get a 100% pass rate for the matric class of 2021. This as the prelim exams start in earnest later this month. The recent lockdown caused a setback for matric learners at Deepdale, but speaking to DBE TV News, Principal Johannes Monakisi says plans are in place to ensure that all learners pass their matric.
This school is starting at quarter to 7, the grade 12, so that they are taught, they are grilled for those subjects that are having challenges. And kids leave the school at around 5 o'clock. And when they leave at 5 o'clock, we say they are early. Normally they leave at 6 o'clock. And I'm not just saying, instructing teachers and the learners to say, you remain. I'm also there, leading by example. So our kids leave at 6 o'clock. They start at quarter to 7 early in the morning. And remember, we've got different, programs apart from these early classes or morning classes and the afternoon classes. We also have, the programs that I've initiated, like, the cross-nighting in the evening. I think I'm here with my cluster, manager here. He was even here on Saturday, even my IDSO from Johannesburg North District. This is the support that, you know, they're also giving the school. So kids are also sleeping here, but they don't sleep 100%, not all of them, for security reasons. We just identify different, you know, subjects to say, let these subjects, you know, come. And, you know, our teachers are very much cooperative, and we don't only use them. We also use other good teachers from other schools that are performing well, so that they can inject, you know, something different.
He says the school has made additional plans to focus specifically on maths and science.
And we have got other stakeholders that are also helping us in terms of focusing on those, you know, challenging subjects like maths and science. On a Friday, every Friday, there is these winners that are coming from 2 o'clock until 5, you know, teaching these kids maths and science. Almost every Wednesday, Johannesburg North has initiated a program, the Maths Cat Science, led by Bonjas. Almost every Wednesday from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock, they're coming to teach these kids maths, lit, and physical science. So those are the variety of plans that we've put in place, you know, towards the preparation for the examinations.
COVID-19 has played a big role in how learning and teaching is done. All schools have had to find measures that work for them, especially rotational learning, in order to maintain the 1.5 meter stipulated social distancing.
Deepdale, we've initiated the weekly rotation. Weekly means that there will be particular grades that will attend week 1, but, you know, certain grades will attend week 2. So, but at first, we planned the daily rotation, and of which it was not working for us. But we immediately, you know, converted to the weekly rotation, in which, according to our observation, it works well, because it gives, remember, the Department of Education have given us, supported us with the ATPs, the schedules, which are trimmed according to the entire year syllabi. So we are using those trimmed you know, ATPs. So what we normally do, there will be some weeks in which it is teaching and learning straight away, teaching and learning, and there will be certain weeks in which we assess on what we were teaching them, so that when we do the reporting to the parents, we do the reporting on something that these kids then have learned. And but there are those weeks that we are using for teaching and learning, and there are those weeks that we are, you know, that are specifically for assessment. And to us, then it works. And then because really we also have the weeks that other grades are not coming, because teachers, when they assess, they do the so-called diagnostic analysis. The learners that are not performing well, then they're given an opportunity to come and to be taught those areas that they did not perform well, because we are also using the diagnostic analysis, so that our expanded opportunity, our remedial programs can be informed by those diagnostic analysis, in which you don't teach them everything, you teach them only the topics and the spaces in which they did not, you know, perform well.
Most primary schools have welcomed their learners back to class in a bid to catch up and complete the curriculum. However, high schools are continuing with rotational learning. Munakisi says although he would love to have all his learners back, doing so will be a challenge.
I want to be honest, and I'm also communicating with different principals, and then around, you know, the 100% return of the kids. I, for one, and even some of the principals that I'm talking to, the majority of them, we are envisaging that kids can come back, all of them, because really we were disturbed, and there are a lot of gaps that we want to close. We are saying kids can come back. However, we still have challenges. You know, challenges of the space. Remember, when all kids are coming back, that doesn't mean that we are now exempted from observing the non-pharmaceutical, you know, measures, social distancing. That will be a problem because of the space. So in terms of our envisage, we want to see all kids coming, because this thing of week in, week out, it's also increasing, the dropout. Some of the kids, they don't see that necessity for them to come back because of the gap. And remember, kids cannot perform the same way. Those who are not performing well, coupled with the days in which they are not attending, it discourages them, and as a result, they opt to drop. So we don't want that. We were envisaging as if kids can come back, all of them, but social distancing, we still need to observe that, will be a challenge. The space will be a challenge.
The NITS-CRAM survey report, which was recently released, revealed that there is a huge dropout rate due to COVID-19, and that is a huge problem. It's positive to note, however, that principals like Monakisi do not just sit back when they see a child not reporting for school.
In grade 12, we lost 3 learners this year. And I was telling him to say, tomorrow I'll be driving to those families and find out, because we've discovered it. Remember, we were interrupted by, the abrupt, closing of the schools on the 30th of June, if ever I'm not mistaken. So it was like we thought maybe they will come back and we give them that space, but they're not coming back. So we will be also visiting those families and find out why. And if ever there is a possibility for them to come back, then we will make sure that they come back. But I'm communicating with my district in terms of registering, because not so long ago we were submitting their final schedules for grade 12s.
We'll be right back after the break, when we will find out more about the Gauteng online admission process for 2022.
All I want is to feel safe, to feel loved, and to be free to show love. Like you.
I cry when I'm hurt, because to feel is to be human. I pledge to be more open about my emotions.
Make it part of the new normal for young boys to be nurtured and loved, to freely express themselves and to show love in a safe, inclusive way. We have different gender identities, but first, we are human. If you need assistance to help your child, contact Childline on 08000 55 555.
Welcome back. Applications for those going to grades 1 and 8 in 2022 will be done in 2 phases. That's the announcement by the Gauteng Education Department earlier this week. The first phase will begin on the 10th of August for those going to grade 8, while the second will start in mid-September for learners going to grade 1. This is in a bid to ensure that those in the province are prioritized. It is also to avoid overcrowding the system, which inevitably leads to some parents being unable to register their children to a school of their choice. It's the 6th year since the provincial department has implemented this online application system.
Phase 1 will include having the application for learners that are currently in the public schools. We know that we have grade 7 learners that are in public schools that we need to progress to grade 8. So the first phase, which will open on the 10th of August, will be open for that group of learners that are currently in our public system that we would need to progress to to grade 8. From September the 15th, we'll be then starting on with the second phase, where we open up the system for all the learners that are in grade, that will be coming new into grade 1, and any other additional young person who still want to come into our public system into grade 8. So the system, that's why this year, for the first time, it has been done in a manner that allows the first group would be the grade 7s that will be going into grade 8. And secondly, it will open up for everybody else who will then be wanting to come into grade 8 from other parts of the country, as well as other subsystems, but equally opening up anew for all grade 1 learners who are coming completely new into our system.
There are a number of documents that are needed when applying to a school on the online system.
For application online, you know that you must first have evidence of your home address. You need to have the work address. There's also a requirement that you've got to have the necessary ID or identification documents that one has to be able to bring. But if a learner is going into grade 1 in particular, we would want to have the parents ensure that they bring in vaccination cards or an indication that that learner would have gone through the necessary health protocols in terms of vaccination, but that is only applicable to a grade 1 learner. As well, if it's a person who is not of South African origin, they come from outside the country, they must have a valid official document, either a permanent residence form or any other related document that is official, that will ensure that it can be catered for and they can be accounted for. So those are the necessary documents that each person would have to be able to get onto our online system.
Certain criteria also needs to be met when applying online.
And remember, we have admission criteria, and admission criteria is that you must be within the feeder zone. And the feeder zone can be determined by a number of things. One, by your home address. So it is closest to your home address, or it is closest to your work address, as you may also have a sibling, and it could also be in the context of within a 30-kilometer radius and within a 30-kilometer radius in that regard.
The Gauteng Education Department has put measures in place in the form of walk-in sites to assist those who don't have access to data or the internet.
We had, over the years, we had noted that there may be persons who are unable to have data or have facilities to go on online system. We have actually opened 47 centers in the province, and these would be widely made widely available and known. And of the 47, we would expect those persons to walk into those sites, and we have officials of the department available to assist them in that particular regard. So everybody is catered for. Those that have, they can do it from the comfort of their home. Those that may not have, they are welcome to come to any of the 47 sites that have been decentralized across the province that will allow them to participate, and they be assisted by officials of the department.
That then brings us to the end of this week's weekly news roundup on Channel 122 on OpenView, on YouTube, and on BRICS TV Channel 509 Starset. With it being August, we want to celebrate women this month. If you have any women you know of in the sector that you would like to be celebrated, let us know via all our social media platforms using the hashtag DBE News. This is how we conclude the bulletin for this week. Remember to comply with all the COVID health protocols. Until next time, it's goodbye from myself, Tsegohatjo Moagi, and the DBE TV News team. Thank you for watching.